Okay, so at this time we would like to bring in Allison Jack with NewLeaf Symbiotics. So, Allison, welcome to the Dairy Dive.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
All right, Allison and I have become familiar with each other over the past summer. I was a part of some different video opportunities and trial opportunities that we partnered with NewLeaf on. And so we've seen some really interesting things, and I think we're going to talk about. But before we get into all that fun stuff and get too detailed on that, why don't you tell us, Allison, who you are, who New Leaf is, kind of where you're located, what you do there, and let's learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the product technical director at NewLeaf Symbiotics. I actually just celebrated my 8-year anniversary with the company, so it's been really exciting to be part of every stage of this kind of late startup growth and into the commercialization phase. So it's been super fun. We're based out of St. Louis, Missouri, in kind of the startup ag tech cluster, like the innovation cluster here. I'm a plant pathologist by training, so I kind of came to New Leaf as a plant pathologist, and then over the years with different needs from the company, helped with different biostimulant launches, right? So I've kind of started out in the R&D team, but it's been a wonderful opportunity to get to know other parts of the business. I currently run the trialing operations team, so that's all things trialing, anything from small plot with contract researchers all the way to these on-farm partnerships where, okay, well, let's get a new product or an existing product out into the field and literally look at it all season with our partners and see what we can learn about performance. So
Excellent. So I obviously have a little familiarity with New Leaf, and anybody who's a regular listener of the Dairy Dive has probably heard that name. We've talked about it. We've had at least one other individual I can think of from your team that was on a podcast probably around last year sometime. But let's just real quickly kind of who is New Leaf? What is their product development approach?
yeah, so we say it's almost like Intel Inside, right? We're the technology provider to our partners' products. So our technology is based on a certain type of beneficial microbe called PPFMs, pink pigmented facultative methylotrophs. So that's our expertise. We are very deep experts in this particular type of plant symbiotic microbe. And then we have product concepts. We start testing in the lab. We start pulling different things together. Nominate to the greenhouse, nominate to small plot in the field, nominate to on farm before a launch, and then launch. Right now, our pillars, we started with biostimulants. We're still working a lot with biostimulants. We have EPA registered biocontrol products now out in the field. And then we've got a couple other projects going at various stages of commercialization. So in various parts of the world. So it's really exciting to see how well this technology works in different areas on different crops, as long as we can select the right microbe out of our collection of 12,000 with that product concept.
Wow, it's a lot. I guess I mean, I guess if I would have really thought about it, I would have realized it'd be that big. But 12,000 is, I mean, there's a lot to that. Anytime you're getting
What can we
into,
get out of the freezer today to try and solve this problem over here, right? Yeah, but
yeah,
luckily we know a lot about them. Our deep expertise in this specific type of microbe allows us to not skip certain steps of development, but because we have fully sequenced genomes, so we have the genomic information for everything in our collection. And then we've built over the years our own understanding of how certain genes in the microbe impact how they impact the plants. So we're not just going into the freezer blind and like picking one. We do comparative genomics to say, okay, I'm looking for something that can do this, so I need these kinds of genes. I know what I'm looking for. We do that selection first, and that saves us potentially 1 to 2 years of R&D development, just to have that knowledge, so we can accelerate development right off the bat.
right. So we would do a very similar thing in the seed industry, right? Your parent lines. You can track back multiple generations. You know that a particular parent may for the most part, is going to bring some type of agronomic aspect. And so you want to deliver that and bring that forward. So you select that. Now you don't know maybe what it does with this other parent. So there's some experimentation too, but you can make some general or
Yeah.
some, pretty good, pretty scientific based decisions on that. Listeners to this podcast would do something very similar with cow genetics, right?
Mhm.
They know from years of experience and data what the trend is and how that works. So, I mean, I think that should relate pretty well to the individuals listening to this. So, when you think about, particularly, let's spend a little time and talk about the Pink Performance Tour. And so, something that you were a part of, obviously, huge part this past year, something we got to participate with you a little bit on. So, what is it, and why was it created? Kind of get into the structure of that.
Yeah, so the Pink Performance Tour, we launched last season. We wanted to see our technology in the field. So we focused on two products that were kind of in a soft launch phase, or in a on farm trialing before we launch phase. So new things in our portfolio. We did have a little bit of our vegetable transplant biostimulant, but then the majority of the series is our new EPA registered biofungicide, TS601. So, being at the company as long as I have and understanding, like when we first launched our biostimulants, our experience in the field with partners and growers actually using them and then giving that feedback directly to us. Oh, hey, well, I noticed this phenotype in the plant. Did you ever measure this? Like, because it seems like your technology is doing this, right? And most of the time, oh, yes, yeah, we've been measuring that all the way through the pipeline. But sometimes there are things that come up in on farm trialing that are new information for us. And so we can bring that back to our development team and incorporate it into how we look at the product. So we almost wanted to capture that experience in a bottle and be able to share it with everyone, of the kind of insights that come up when you're literally out in the field with an innovative grower who's got a side by side and they're like, here's what I see and here's what I look at when I start to try and evaluate these technologies, for my own operation. So yeah, we wanted to just bottle that up and be able to share it with everyone, and I think the video series does a good job of that.
Yeah. So, what all regions of the country did you guys perform this in?
So we were mostly in the Midwest. Of course, some of the specialty crop stuff was in Florida, also in the Midwest. So yeah, but U.S. for this season. Yeah.
Excellent. So, as you made your tour and you're kind of now, I'm assuming, still working through data and
Yeah.
analyzing and looking at everything. So far, what are kind of the major themes that have shown up across the country and kind of the outcomes that kind of stood out the most?
I think especially for the biofungicide for TS601, the theme that we've seen, that now we saw it in greenhouse assays that are inoculated with pathogens. We saw it in small plot field trials, again, that are inoculated with the pathogens. And then we saw it on farm, is a really consistent response of delayed incidence. So, especially in the inoculated trials, you're like, I know I put it there. I know I put the disease causing organism there. And I know in the control treatment that I can see that disease has already started. But then if you look at the TS601 treated plants, you have maybe a month, maybe 5 weeks before you can even see symptoms. So delayed incidence and then reduced overall severity. And we think of TS601 and all of our biocontrol technologies as kind of foundational IPM tools, where it's not 100% control, but it absolutely performs well in a program with other types of tools, and it gives a lot of flexibility, right? Like a 6 week delay in even seeing any symptoms start allows the grower to have the flexibility to figure out how they're going to manage things over the season. So yeah, just seeing some really interesting patterns, not only in the early season, things that come in early season and start infecting at the seedling stage and then show up later, but even in the late incoming pathogens like rust and tar spot, we still saw a very positive effect even from just a treatment at planting. So that that really speaks to the unique mode of action of this technology, that it is changing the plant's destiny by helping it prime its own immune system, basically.
Yeah, this is something that's going to be so strange for farmers, and why I'm so
Yeah.
glad we're doing this and getting this information out there. Because I mean, any farmer, when you think fungicide, you think of spraying it on at
And it kills the thing. Yeah.
BT,
Yeah.
a little after that maybe, and it killing for essentially or whatever, right? And it doesn't last very long. It's got a short window. There's a lot of different challenges that come with it. So when you're talking about, taking that proactive step in the planting process, that's a little bit mind blowing for farms to think
Well,
about.
it's almost like an insurance policy, right? Because you don't know exactly. You have a pretty good idea of what your disease pressure is going to be, but especially for things coming in late season, and it depends if there was like a storm in Florida, right, where those spores go. It because it helps by changing the plant's own defenses, it means it's pretty broad spectrum. And right now we have a bunch of pathogens on the label, but what we're working on in the background is continuing to expand. Okay, well, does it also work here? Does it also work there? So the goal is that each season's launch, we're able to expand that label based off of data we have on performance.
Yeah, I think that the other part that we've got to think about, or I'd be interested to know if you've seen this or not. I know for Rupsico, Streamline Ag, when we started looking at the 201, I guess it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were starting, we noticed some benefit to the plant, even outside of areas where there was heavy rootworm pressure.
Yeah,
Have you seen similar things with the 601?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where, you know, for 201, we started with just corn rootworm on the label because that's how we discovered that active and how we developed it over many years. Um, so we were never really looking above ground. We spent 7 years looking below ground and looking just at corn rootworm larvae. So even kind of surprise effects when we first launched that. I believe we soft launched in 2023, full launch in 24. When we first commercially launched that through partners, the feedback that we got was, well, you need to be looking above ground, because I walked through my side by side and you didn't see any adult corn rootworm beetles on the treated side of the field. So they weren't there trimming the silk, they weren't there laying eggs for the next season. So that really has opened our mind to, oh my goodness, right? So when we started to hear that from customers, then we started pressing very hard to just expand that label. Okay, well, now we need field data on this, on that. Let's look at these, above ground insects. So we're excited to have an expanded label already approved and ready to go this season for TS201 as well.
Nice. Yeah. So the other thing too, I think that we want to make clear to this group that listens to this, right? It's a dairy podcast, primarily going to have dairy or maybe some beef operations that are listening into this. And maybe you thought, well, I'm chopping my silage, so I'm not worried about the fungicide, but we're learning more and more. There's more and more data coming out to support this idea that even if you're going to chop it, there is benefit. I think two things for us to consider is, one is, you don't know that everything's fully going to get chopped unless you have 100% confidence, which is, I say, most farms don't.
Mhm.
But even if you do, there is still some drag and some impact on starch for sure. And the fiber can also be drastically affected, even in the presence of chopping that silage. And so maybe if you didn't want to get into a full blown fungicide application, this might be a benefit to think about, as there's other products and other benefits within the opportunity as well, like for products that we offer. So I think we just want to make sure we're thinking about that at the farm level.
Well, and TS601 also has impact on below ground pathogens. So because it works through the plant's own defenses. So even things that are, limiting growth early in the season, you would see a benefit. And I will say, so TS601, just got out of the EPA comment period. So that new expanded label is pending state registrations and pending final approval from the EPA. But TS201, our bioinsecticide, is ready to go and working its way through the states right now with the expanded label. So we're excited to get those out this year.
Yeah, I don't think most farmers probably really are, no one's ever really explained to them or maybe appreciate the fact of how long it takes to get some of these things to market. It's not just as simple as, hey, we saw a benefit, let's put it in a box and ship it to somebody. There's a long process, and so
Oh yeah, at
um,
least 3 years, and
so
then
you
potential modifications after the fact, like and label expansions, and yeah, it's quite the process. We're lucky to have just a great regulatory team to help us through all of that.
So with that, you've got to make sure you're doing a good job of looking ahead, like what's going to
Yeah,
be next, right? What we don't need to.
absolutely.
You're not necessarily just looking to solve problems today. What's the next problem that the farmer doesn't even realize is coming, or doesn't have an appreciation for yet? So when you think about that, Allison, when you think about looking ahead, how the trial data feeds back into the future development of your products, and what excites you the most about technology that's coming down.
Well, I think what I'm most excited about is starting to combine the technology is in a single field. So of course, as we're developing things, we're looking at pipelines, distinct pipelines. Okay, here's the biofungicide pipeline, here's the bioinsecticide pipeline. But now that we're getting into, okay, well, the insecticide's been launched for a while on corn, what happens when you start stacking these technologies. So I think in some of the great on-farm research that Streamline did, right, they started when we launched the biostimulant. Okay, now they have the biostimulant in a planter box product. What benefit does that add, to the tons per acre? But then, oh, well, hey, corn on corn, like you probably want some corn rootworm protection in there. So Streamline very early on, then, okay, well, what if you stack the TS201 bioinsecticide with the biostimulant, the corn biostimulant? Well, that actually provides an additional benefit in tons per acre. And then now, of course, with the biofungicide, what if you have a triple stack with all three of them together? Like, can you still be providing an additional benefit and a solid ROI for the customer? So kind of thinking about our own portfolio in a program approach of, okay, well, yeah, of course, we've spent so much time looking at all of them individually to get efficacy data to build the labels, but looking at a program approach, obviously the insects don't stay over here and the pathogens over here, they're all happening in the same place together. So looking at that increased benefit of combining them. And then also what we've been working through the pipelines are, okay, program approach with synthetics. Okay, if you have, this is the activity of our technology on its own, but what if you combine it with a synthetic? How much additional value does it provide? And is there a good ROI there too? Is there a justification for saying, actually, this provides enough of a benefit together, like a little bit of synergy, that you would want to apply them together? So that's what's kind of coming through as well, coming through the pipelines.
Yeah, so we experienced that exact thing from the streamline side of our business with the fungicides, having two offerings that we do, which one is a synthetic, one is a biological, and they just work extremely well together. They kind of capture and protect different things, and biological may have a little bit longer staying power, but the synthetic is delivering a couple different modes of action that the biological can't. But when you combine them, you can get a very good price point to get the multi-mode. So I mean, just really, I don't want to make this a commercial for those products, but it's just hitting on the concept of what you just said about, and I think that's extremely important. I think one of the hardest parts, Allison, I think you could bring some insight here is, okay, so if I take off my salesman hat, I put on my farmer hat. I don't work at Robseco. I don't work at Streamline. I'm not in that. I'm farmer. This all seems overwhelming, right? It seems how you tell me it'll do this, you tell me to do that. The old adage we always say, I've heard farmers say is, man, if I used every technology that they said and got every 3 to 4 bushels that everybody said, I should be at
Yeah.
470 bushels of corn, right? How do I evaluate it? I'm a farmer. What are some practical ways or some advice you would give in evaluating biologicals? Let's just focus there.
Well, just doing a split field or a split planter and incorporating it into existing practices, right? So just taking the grower standard practice that you're already doing, layering this on top, and really measuring in your own fields, does it provide enough of a benefit to make sense to use it? And I've yeah, I've seen so many innovative growers. Like, I learn so much every time I'm in the field of, well, okay, here's how we evaluate new technologies before we try them, right? Like, nobody's just going to buy something and put it on all of their acres without having some sort of experience in their own region, in their own management systems, to be able to move the dial. And I think what's particularly unique about the PPFM technology is that the plant response is pretty visual. So what we have heard from customers all the way back to the beginning of our first biostimulant launches was, I was driving by side and I pulled over and I checked the planting date, right? Because like the early vigor is striking enough that you can see it while you're driving, right? So I think the scouting is so important in that. And looking at multiple stages of development while you're scouting and being able to see, oh my gosh, I can see with my eyes to the row that something is different with the plant here, right? At less nutrient stress. Our biostimulants help a lot with micronutrient uptake, and you can see that, right? Because you can see the subtle signs of micronutrient deficiency, and then you can see where everything's just looking a little greener. So getting it into your own field and then just using your eyeballs, right? Like looking at it at different stages and digging. Nobody likes to dig. I get it. It's a lot of work. I do a lot of it too. But part of that scouting is kind of, all right, what if you get this out of the ground and look at it? Because that's usually the first aha moment that I've experienced with growers trying it for the first time is, okay, early vigor, whatever. But once you pop some of those out of the ground and look at them side by side, the differences you can see in the root development is pretty striking and usually pretty compelling of, oh, this is doing something, right?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The root digs for sure were hugely impactful for people, and because you just can't. I mean, it's just so visual, and you can't manipulate that. I mean, the root
Right.
is what it is. I mean, and so when you get those roots cleaned off and you set them down on a truck bed and look at them with your own eyes, that's pretty impactful. So, strong, I 100% agree with that. So, as we kind of wrap it up here, Allison, tell us one kind of maybe any final takeaway, any thought that you want to make sure and leave with the individuals listening to this.
Well, just um, I don't know. I've been very impressed with everyone's that we've talked to, right? Their openness to try biologicals and to learn about new biologicals, because it's not new, right? Biologicals have been around for a while, but I think the new classes of biologicals that are coming out are a little bit more sophisticated, more research behind them, and it's been just really personally fulfilling to me to be able to see the uptake and see the value that it provides people and see the happy customers and repeat customers. I think the first time that I was at a trade show where I wasn't just because I always start, okay, well, you've probably never heard of us, right? And here's what our technologies are, and here's where you can get them. The first time that I met someone that said, oh yeah, no, I use that product and I've used it for 2 years and I love it, right? Like that was such a great experience to know that we're not just developing these as a hypothetical. It's a product that people like and they come back to once they see what happens with their own eyes and they see the return, that we get people excited about what's next, right? Okay, well, what else do you have? So we're always in motion trying to bring the next thing through the pipeline and get it into the hands of growers. So I guess just thanks for everyone that's kind of taken a chance on a novel biological and helped us get this out into the real world.
Excellent. Great way to finish it. Thank you, Allison. Thanks for taking the time to join the Dairy Dive.
Thanks so much.
So, with that, guys, we'll sign off. Before we sign off, just a reminder Make sure you subscribe to the Dairy Dive podcast. We're getting back to getting some regular episodes, and going to have some more lined up here, dropping every other Wednesday. And so make sure and subscribe to that. Check out some of the other content for Rob Seco, Streamline Ag. Go to the website. Check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, just about every platform you can imagine, and send out information to other friends. You found this valuable, send it out to some other people. Get some more, get this network growing. So with that, hope everybody has a great day. Thanks. Be careful.